All of us are anchored to the earth by gravity. We have no wings with which to fly. I wish I could fly. I wonder what the edge of the sky looks like. Most children have such fantasies. Let's set those dreams, those longings skyward, by allowing children to build and launch their own water rockets.
皆さん、こんにちは。
Hello everyone. This instructional video targeting teachers and instructors will provide you with basic approaches and tips for making and launching water rockets. Water rockets are easy to make and use materials found in daily life. Children will be thrilled and their creativity stimulated watching their handmade rockets take to the sky. Rockets that perform well have good science behind them. So, it is essential that you understand the basics of water rockets. I'd like you to enjoy watching this video before building safe and high-performance water rockets with your students. Now, how about I explain how to make a water rocket? What materials should we use? The water rocket consists of three basic parts: the body, the head or nose cone, and the tail, which includes fins. We use PET bottles to make the body and the head. Every rocket requires 2 PET bottles, specifically bottles used for carbonated beverages. We will use one of the bottles for the rocket's body. The other bottle we will cut apart and use to fashion the head or nose cone. PET bottles used for mineral water, tea and other non-carbonated soft drinks are available, but they are weaker than carbonated drink PET bottles and therefore unsuitable for water rockets. There are also square-shaped bottles. We don't use these because air pressure will cause them to deform. Please keep these points in mind. So get yourself some carbonated drink PET bottles, empty and rinse and dry them, and peel off their labels. If you have trouble removing the label, you can use a cutter to scrape it away. Avoid damaging the bottle's body when using the cutter. You need 2 flawless carbonated drink PET bottles. Check them over before putting them to use. We now have our materials for the rocket body, which will generate the thrust for the water rocket. Next, we need tail fins. These will allow the rocket to achieve high, stable flight. For the fins, we will use moderately hard PVC sheets. You can find them at your local do-it-yourself outlet. To achieve maximum stability, you're advised to position the fins as far back from the body as possible. This calls for a cylindrical tail section, which you see here. To make the aft cylindrical section, we use a soft plastic material, such as that used for plastic folders. To make the cylinder, we'll take scissors to a clear file sheet and then attach 4 fins to it. Another key point to ensure stable flight is to make the rocket's front end heavy. We'll use modelling clay as ballast. We'll attach a piece of clay to the front of the rocket to make it heavier. 50 grams of clay will be sufficient. In addition, we will use a large-sized trash bag to reduce damage to the rocket when it returns to Earth. Attached to the nose cone, the trash bag acts as a cushion, absorbing the impact. Finally, we will need a nozzle. The nozzle connects the rocket to the launcher. Placing it securely on the launch pad is important to ensure a successful launch. While you can replace the nozzle with readily available articles such as a bicycle tyre valve or a rubber stopper, we will use a ready-made nozzle as a safety precaution. The nozzle will be attached to the PET bottle's mouth, like so. All of the materials needed to build a rocket have been assembled. You'll also need a pair of scissors, some vinyl tape, a magic marker, ruler, and a cutter. The use of plywood or a cutting mat is recommended, as they will protect your workspace and desk from damage by the scissors and cutter. Let's now have a look at the water rocket building process. First, measure out the 4 fins on a PVC sheet. Use a ruler and a magic marker. Next, cut out the fins. You can use a cutter, but a pair of scissors would be safer. Now, divide the base of each fin into 4 equal parts. Make 3 cuts at intervals of 2.5 centimetres. Here again, remember to mark the cuts beforehand. Alternately, bend the 4 parts to the left and the right. You can bend them straight, neatly and easily by aligning the ruler with the line like this. With the 4 tail fins ready, let's make the aft cylinder or skirt to which the fins will be attached. First, cut the clear file at the joint to spread it open. Then, cut it into halves along the vertical centre line. You can use a cutter, but a pair of scissors would be safer. Wrap one of the sheets around the PET bottle and adjust the length of the cylindrical section until it's snug. Wrap the sheet around the bottle's fore section and adjust its length so that the cylinder protrudes slightly. Now, let's attach the fins to the cylinder. The fins must be attached to the rocket body at right angles and at intervals of 90 degrees. This means you must divide the circumference into 4 equal parts. Once again, wrap the film cylinder around the PET bottle and mark the circumference. Then, divide the circumference into 4 equal parts. It is now possible to fit the water rocket with the fins at intervals of 90 degrees. Draw a 10 centimetre guideline from each of the marks on the cylinder and then cut along the guidelines. Each fin is to be inserted into a cut. Each cut, therefore, must be straight. A crooked cut will lead to the fins being out of alignment. Insert the fins one by one into the cuts this way. Then, tape the slots securely from the reverse side of the film. The cylinder, complete with the 4 fins, is now ready. Next, we'll wrap the cylinder around the rocket body. You can wrap it neatly by fastening the starting edge of the cylinder with vinyl tape to prevent it from slipping out of place. Use more tape to securely fix the cylinder at its leading edge. Remember to position the fin section so that it protrudes slightly relative to the bottle's mouth. This will allow the rocket to be set properly on the launcher. Now, we will cut the other PET bottle along 2 guidelines. In this video, we are using an opaque white bottle so that the 2 lines show up clearly. As it is a bit difficult to pierce the bottle with the pointed tip of the scissors, we will make our initial cuts with a cutter. Be careful when handling the cutter because the bottle's surface is very slippery. Cut the line that is closer to the bottle's mouth. Then, do the same for the second line. Scissor off the part near the bottle's mouth first. Next, cut the nose cone from the bottle's body. Scissors for use with PET bottles are available. We recommend you use this type. Here's the part of the bottle we've just cut off. It will serve as the core structure of the nose cone. Next, we'll proceed to adjustment of the water rocket's balance using modelling clay. Apply a sizable lump of clay to the front end of the bottle proper. Please make sure the clay is applied evenly to prevent the rocket from listing to one side or the other. Test the rocket's balance by placing it on your finger like so. The centre of gravity should be closer to the nose cone to ensure a well-balanced flight. Push the nose cone over the water rocket and tape it securely into place. The rocket is nearly complete. The final step is to use the vinyl bag to fill the empty space in the nose cone to create a cushion against the impact the rocket will absorb when returning to Earth. Use vinyl tape to keep the bag securely inside the nose cone. In order to launch the rocket, we need to fit this PET bottle with a nozzle. Screw the nozzle onto the PET bottle. Make sure the nozzle's opening protrudes beyond the tail fin cylinder. The water rocket has now been completed. Although our rocket looks like this, your students can choose whatever colours they like. They can even draw pictures on their rockets. The idea is to enhance their enjoyment by allowing them to make their own original rockets. For junior high and high school students, you might challenge them with a series of questions. For example, how will the rocket fly if fin sizes are changed? How will it fly if they change the weight of the nose cone's ballast clay? Next, let's proceed to an explanation about the launcher. We need a nozzle like this to launch the water rocket. First, screw it onto the rocket's mouth this way. Then, set this launch gear as shown here. After pumping air into it, the rocket will be ready for launch. The launcher is used to set the direction of the rocket's flight. For this demonstration, we've made one like this. Here we used 4 pieces of wood to hold and guide the rocket. With the launcher set accurately to the desired angle, insert the water rocket into the space between the supports. Then attach the launch gear to the tail. Since our launcher is made of wood, we've coated it to protect the wood from water damage. This launcher is designed to be adjustable. The angle of launch can be modified as desired. If you have access to a wide open area, it would be safer to launch the rocket at an angle as shown here. Otherwise, you can launch it straight upward. Various other types of launcher are possible. A common type, for example, is this one using steel pipe. With this launcher, we attach a piece of PVC pipe to the rocket body and run the steel pipe through it like this. Attach the launch gear and you are ready to go. The water rocket is now ready for launch. Here are some points you need to consider when selecting a launch site. Water rockets can fly a distance of about 50 metres on average and as far as 100 metres if conditions are favourable. The site must be at least 50 metres long and wide enough to accommodate a rocket that has deviated from its intended course. It will also be better if the site is where you can discharge water without disturbing others. If your intended site is close to an airport or airfield, you should consult with the proper authorities beforehand. Next, let's look at launch field preparations. First, we demarcate the boundaries of the launch area with chalk to ensure safety. Next, we determine the position of the launcher. An important consideration here is to select an area that is free from obstruction for a distance of at least 50 metres from the launcher. Then, we need to decide where to place the water filling area and the area for students waiting to launch their rockets. These areas should be at least 3 metres away from the launcher. Launch field preparations are complete. Now, let's review the respective roles of the support staff. Launch Control Officer. Working closely with the safety officers, the Launch Control Officer grants permission to launch by signalling for water pumping to begin and by conducting the countdown. Safety lookout officers. These staff members keep close watch on and around the launch field to prevent the general public from wandering into the field. After confirming that the field is clear, they use flags to signal to launch control that the area is safe for launch. Safety officers often double as rocket recovery staff. Air pumping officer. This staffer engages the water rocket to the launcher and uses a bicycle pump to fill the rocket with air. This officer also carefully checks to see that no water is leaking from the nozzle area or the rocket body. Checking air pressure is another important task. Water officer. This staff member, using a measuring cup and funnel, is responsible for filling each rocket with a predetermined amount of water. The water officer also checks to see that the nozzle is securely fastened. If the number of water rockets is limited, it is possible that one person can assume more than one responsibility. Conversely, if the exhibition is large-scale and accommodates a significant number of participants, the number of staffers should be increased accordingly. Now, I'd like the students here to perform the water rocket launch procedures.
はい、大丈夫です。水を入れに行ってください。
水入れお願いします。はい。はい、水入れ完了しました。ありがとうございました。水入れ終わりました。
ノズルを取り付けてください。
完了しました。
ロケットをランチャーに取り付けてください。
はい。
安全確認お願いします。安全を確認しました。ポンピングを開始してください。
はい。ポンピング完了しました。
発射準備完了。発射5秒前。4、3、2、1、0。
In this teaching video, we have made a basic single-stage water rocket. By exercising your ingenuity, you can also create 2-bottle, 3-bottle, and other multi-stage rockets, and even equip the rocket with a camera for aerial photography or load it with a parachute. Enhanced creativity enables a variety of alternate rocket types to be devised and built, further stimulating your students' intellectual curiosity. Let's now listen to children who had the opportunity to make and launch their own water rockets. Shown here are scenes from a workshop held by JAXA. As you can see, all the participants are engrossed in the making of their water rockets. Water rockets are very popular among children, so we provided them with ready-made patterns for fins and so forth. With a little guidance from adults, the children can make their own water rockets. Let's go through the procedures preparatory to launch. Given such a large number of children, event staff made arrangements so that participants would flow smoothly from stage to stage. 5 launches were made available. To ensure safety, staff members were required to rehearse these procedures.
楽しかった。やっぱり工作作るのの楽しさと飛んだ時の嬉しい気持ち。これからもやってみたいです。羽とか結構つけるのとか角度とか確認しなきゃいけないから大変だった。
なんか結構角度つけてるね。
回った嬉しかった。
楽しかったですね。どこが楽しかったというと、飛んだから自分で作った甲斐があったなと思いました。
難しかったけど作れた。
どの辺が難しかった？
飛んだ結構。
またやってみたいと思う？
飛んだ。作るのは難しかったけど、飛ばすのは空気入れとかは力を最後に出した時飛ばせたから良かったです。
で、今度作るロケットはどんなロケットかな？
全部緑にして自然の中で飛ばした。
飛ばしたけど壊れちゃったけど、また今度は作ってみたい。キラキラしたロケットがいい。
この子3歳なんですけど、手伝わなきゃいけないかなと思ってたんですけど、結構自分で一人で作っちゃったし、真ん中の子は今5歳なんですけど、これも全部一人で作っちゃったし、だから結構自分で最後まで作って、それで作ったものが飛んだからすごく満足してるんじゃないかなと思います。
なかなか家庭ではできないものを学校という場で友達がいる、仲間がいる、先生がいるっていう、そういう中でやると理科離れとか言われてますけど、そういうのと関係なしに遊びから少しずつもっと知りたいとか、実際作ってみたものが思った通りに飛んだとか、他の人と比較してどうだったっていうのを肌で感じることができたので、良かったなと思ってます。
How did you find this presentation? Rockets that perform well have good science behind them. Likewise, there are good reasons for rockets that fail. While it's important to understand the basics, we sincerely hope the making of water rockets will serve as an opportunity to sustain children's scientific curiosity. Please enjoy the making water rocket while paying full attention to safety.